Give it a second for people to hop in. Hi everybody, go ahead and let me know when you can hear me in the chat. There's been something going on with my audio. I'm trying my webcam this time in hopes of maybe it being better. I also turned it up a little bit, so if you can let me know how that is. I don't know, I think YouTube is doing something to it because it only seems to be happening to certain people. But go ahead and let me know when you guys can hear me. We're gonna start here in a second. I'm gonna release this video on YouTube for everybody because I think the information that came through is extremely relevant. So for those of you watching this later on YouTube, this is a live video. I'm just giving it a second for all my patrons to hop in. Hi, Melly. She says that she can hear me. Good, perfect. Just lighten a couple of things and getting centered. And then we're gonna dive in. This is probably gonna be a long video. I've kind of been in this rabbit hole for a minute. It's almost like another Lionsgate rabbit hole in and of itself. I fell into the New World Order religion that is pretty much the New Age movement, and I feel that this is a rabbit hole that I'm going to be in for quite some time. I do plan on doing a full video on it, but because I believe that this moon is such a pivotal time to break free from this, I really do want to release this out into the general public. So I'll probably unlock this tomorrow. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, you can hear me. I'm over here. All right, Melly. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some slides. I'm going to briefly touch on normal, regular astrology, and then we're going to just go full-blown out there, which is where my videos tend to take me. I am going to help you pinpoint where Leo is in your chart. You should have your birth chart with you, a pen, a pencil, something to write down, something to write with. The Apprentice cheat sheet, if you're one of my Patreon members, you can locate the Astrologer's Apprentice cheat sheet over on Patreon, linked below this post. I highly recommend printing that out. It will help you so much to be able to reference against all the like astrological jargon that I may use, or to even understand your chart better. So we'll help you do that so you know like what area is extremely a focus right now, so that you can, you know, focus your intentions around that specific area of your life in order to like really work with this lunation. But if you're interested in more of like a mundane, regular Western astrology look at like what's going on in the sky, I recommend checking out Astrology with Heather's YouTube. She does a really good job of telling you like what is going on in the sky in the Muggle world. I'm gonna kind of blast off. I actually am a member of her cosmic community, and I reference her work to ground back down to reality. But if you want to like balance it out with like what is going on in like the Muggle world and like what is going on in like the cosmic world, that would be a really great astrologer to reference. We're going to get into some slides here. All right, so you guys know I always like to try to put as much here on the front that I can for you to like reference or even like scroll back through Patreon and see like what was happening. I actually just scrolled back through Discord for this rabbit hole, and we'll touch on that later, but it really helps to unlock like what was coming through at that time and how it relates to other times. So this is a new moon. 6 months from now, we're going to have a Leo full moon that is going to be a culmination of this energy. That would be a really great time to look back and be like, what was the new moon about? And then you can like look at the thumbnail and get a general idea of what I was talking about. We're going to be talking heavily about the New Age movement and the New World Order religion. that many people are currently being indoctrinated into without even knowing it, and helping to promote without even knowing it. Including myself in the past, and many people that I respect and value their work. People just really aren't aware of this concept, and I really want to kind of lay it out there for everybody. We're going to be talking about the difference in the Sirian energy and what Sirius really represents, and how it really is the star of like liberation and revolution and the Divine Mother, and how a lot of that is removed from this star's archetype, this star's consciousness, when you focus solely on this lion's gate, and you negate the July alignment, or even what the rise of Sirius in the sky meant to the ancients. It was the rise of fertility, the rise and flooding of the Nile, the rise of the Divine Mother, along with the Divine Child. So we're going to be talking a lot about the Holy Grail, which, if you've been following me for a minute, you know, it's a rabbit hole I've been in like my whole life. My awakening revolved very heavily around the concept of the Holy Grail. I've always been obsessed with Arthurian legends and the concept of the Holy Grail and all of its manifestations. And very recently, I've been extremely in that realm, and very much tying this time period to this concept. This is something that I wrote earlier, maybe like a week ago. The esoteric quest of the Holy Grail is the final quest of the masculine mind, of the light, back home to the cosmic womb. It's the divine union of the light with the mother of all things, the flame uniting with the fertile waters of creation, meeting at eternity at 0 point, where together they manifest the eternal child. We're going to be talking about how this heliacal rising of Sirius along with the sun is really Isis rising with Horus, the divine child, because he's representative of the sun, and how this mother-child archetype is really removed and focused solely on this lion when there is so much more to the story, and how this time period really revolves around children and romance, both things that Leo governs, as well as the elite and the crown and the patriarchy and the ego and all that jazz. So we're going to be talking about how the way the New Age movement skews it, funnels it in through a certain stream, funnels it in through certain archetypes, and how they're using that to their benefit. I was very deep in this grail realm for quite a while. I made a tincture that I called the Holy Grail, that I have been working with since the solstice, the summer solstice, and I sent it out to my patrons this month, and I made it with the intention of helping us to see past the illusions and deep, deep, deep into the esoteric mysteries, in order to see. When I use it, I shake it and I say, 1, 2, 3, help me see with clarity. And it's helped me unlock a lot of stuff related to the Grail in general, and the womb and the Divine Mother, that we all are traveling home towards. And then after being in that and making all these connections, I then found it in books. Apparently, I'm not the first person to tie it to this. So that's how I know I'm on to something here. So we're going to dive in. It is not going to be linear in any fashion. It's going to be extremely ADD. I have tons of notes here, and we're gonna go for it. Yeah, and we're gonna just shatter. We're gonna shatter a lot of illusions, and we're gonna take ownership for the discernment and the sovereignty that we are gonna need moving forward, because this realm is not as it seems. When people wake up from the 3D matrix and enter the spiritual realm, they get sucked into all these spiritual matrices. And they don't realize that many of them were set as traps by this same sort of hierarchy within our reality, has infiltrated every aspect of it. it's just naive to think that they aren't here. Like, you think we are just safe from it? Absolutely not. They have um, instilled propaganda into every realm of our world, and particularly the spiritual realm. And they use these partial truths that they twist and they invert in order to make our soul resonate with part of it, enough of it in order to go along with it. Because parts of it are accurate, but the vast majority of it is not. And it is designed for a certain purpose. So we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive very deep into that tonight. So I mean, if you have to come back later, if you have to leave, if you have to watch this over the next couple of days, that's fine. I just really feel like I need to get this out of me. So I'm going to. And then I have a new moon mantra down below that I have been using. I actually used while I shuffled all the cards that we will be going into tonight. And it says, I am sovereign, I am free, I can see with clarity. So feel free to use that if you'd like. I did not design any sort of ritual to be done on this moon, and yeah, I don't think you should follow anybody's. I think that this is Leo season, the season of the self, of the individual, of what lights us up, our own creative passions, our own imagination, our own childlike ability to create. And so I want you to do whatever the fuck it is you are drawn to do, and I don't want to gear you in any sort of direction at all. I think that it would take away from the magic. So feel free to share the next day in Discord for the patrons what it is that you did choose to do. But yeah, be creative with it. So before we get into the chart and go over some basics, let's just go ahead and pinpoint where Leo is in our charts. We're actually going to look and see where a couple of signs are, because we have a fixed cross happening with some pretty interesting asteroids and planetary bodies that we're going to be talking about when we get into the chart. So go ahead and look and see where the fixed signs are for you, particularly Leo. Where is Leo? What house does Leo fall in? I highly recommend the app Time Passages or the website AstroSeek for charts. If you need help, you can post it in Discord and tag me, although I've been a little MIA because I've been in a rabbit hole trying to understand this New World Order religion that many of us have been promoting without even fucking realizing it. So I've been somewhere else, but Leo, Aquarius, which is where Saturn is right now. Uranus is in Taurus, and we have some interesting asteroids over in Scorpio that we're going to talk about. So go ahead and see what houses are those. That's where we're really going to be focusing tonight. Also, Aries. You can look and see where Aries is as well. That's where Chiron is, and Chiron is in a trine to this moon. So feel free to take a moment to do that. Look and see if you have any planets in those signs, particularly between 13 to 28 degrees. If you do, those planets are either conjunct, opposite, or in a square to this lunation. And so it's on one of those 90-degree angles that we talk about often that are, you know, they're the strong ones. They're the ones we feel. They're the ones that manifest things into reality. They trigger us so that we take action, needed action that resolves conflict that needed resolving and pushes us forward. So yeah, go ahead and take a moment to look at those while we just cover some basics of Leo before we just kind of go all the way off where I've been lately. Oh boy. Okay, so Leo is a fixed fire sign. So it's really steady burning fire. It's not like Aries that's like a spark that's like quick to ignite and act really fast but like burns out quickly. It's not like Sagittarius, which is like mutable and transitioning. It's fixed. It's steady burning. It's diligent. It's that like ever burning flame. Leo rules the fifth house. So we, and particularly the Lion's Gate, or even the like concept of you know, the lion in general, is very masculine. It's very masculine in nature, and yes, Leo is a fire sign, but it governs children. The fifth house governs children. It also governs the like creative, childlike expression of our inner child and what lights us up, our passions, which to me is very feminine in nature, particularly this concept of the child, for only a female can bring it into existence naturally. So the fifth house is the house of those like creative instincts, the ones that just like burst out of us, intuitive in nature and like deep within our soul, our deep passions, the things that really light our fire. This is all things that you could be setting your intentions around. It's the urge to express ourselves, to express the like inner light that we have within, what it is that we have to shine on this world. Like I said before, it is the house of children and also the inner child, the inner childlike creativity. It's the heart, it's love, it's romance, it's affection, pleasures, our hobbies. What do you like to do? Now would be some times to set some intentions around it. Also, what are you good at? This is the house that rules our talents, what we enjoy to do, how we have fun, play, and it is the house of manifestation. So you do really want to take advantage of that, independent of any other sort of entity, because this is the self. This is the Leo. This is not the collective. This is not an Aquarius portal. This is Leo energy, sovereign Leo energy that is true and aligned within the self, and then aligned with that divine feminine aspect as well, while Sirius is rising here in the northern hemisphere, which is something we'll touch on here later, about how this energy really is dependent upon your location. If you're in the southern hemisphere, what all the spiritual people are telling you is happening in the sky is just not happening for you. It's not. Your dates are opposite of ours. So when Sirius sets in the sky in June, it will be rising for you. It's on an opposite schedule, and they don't tell you that, and it's because these entities that I believe are using this portal are mostly located in the northern hemisphere. So I think they're like literally harnessing all the planet's energy revolving around Sirius, this like star that can break us free, help us see, liberate us. It's that star that's connected to all these revolutions and changes and pushing forward. And they're like, yeah, you're going to do that for us. You're going to help us push our agenda forward. We know how powerful this time is. So we are going to have you harness it through this portal and feed the lion. Feed the lion instead of becoming the lion and leading, being a true leader and not a follower. Not a follower. If you saw my post, the Lion's Gate in Jerusalem is also often translated to the sheep gate. We are not following people to our crucifixion. We are not a sacrificial lamb. We are standing in our truth and sovereignty, and we are not going to be crucified. The lion very much does represent that like Messiah or like enlightened solar consciousness that is polarized. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight, but if you balance that with this Isis, with this Syrian energy that is rising, looking at that not through a lion's gate, but as that divine feminine energy that it is, we can come into a sort of balance, and we are leaning into the yearly point of balance as we enter towards the autumn equinox. So that is our focus. We're entering into Libra season. We're entering towards the autumn equinox. The purpose here is, how can I shift? How can I integrate? How can I balance in order to come into this 0 point and harness it for the year? And we're going to talk about how important the last one was as we go on, but I'm on a tip. So some evolved energies of Leo that you could really work to harness and manifest through intentions right now, if this is something you may need in your reality, is Leos are extremely creative. Set some intentions around creativity, around expressing yourself. They are generous, enthusiastic, good organizer. Is true. My Leo kid keeps me on point. She's got sets timers for me so I don't forget to make dinner at the right time. And she's very organized. I love it. Broad-minded, expansive. They are the leader, but it's like, what are we being led to? And look to see where Leo falls in your chart. What house is activated? This is where you are meant to lead. So for me, Leo falls in my 12th house. That is the house of spirituality. That is the house of what is hidden, what is unseen. And I really do feel that I am in alignment when I am leading in that space and not following, because then I get in my head. And then that house is also the house of your own undoing. So you definitely don't want to get in your head or escape altogether through like dissociative means. But when I am leading and exposing what is hidden, what people cannot see, Leo is where you are meant to shine. So I am meant to shine in the 12th house. That is the darkest house. That is the depths, the shit people does not want to see. I also have Lilith there. So look and see what planets you have there. Lilith, for me, is that like dark feminine archetype who can grasp what is being seen down there when other people cannot. Lilith is not afraid. She is the liberator. She will stand up for truth, even if it means burning shit to the ground. And I am not beyond burning things to the ground. Heather says that Leo is her 12th house too. Heather, I see that in you. I very much do. You are a leader. You're doing your own thing. You aren't like the other Starry CV pages. You got your own thing going on. I'm like, oh, there's Heather over there. Let me go and like her post because it's so awesome. But yeah, you got your own vibe going on and you're leading the way and you're questioning things and you're exposing things and you're not afraid to speak up. So look and see, where is Leo for you? Look at the apprentice cheat sheet or the slide here to see what that house represents. And then look and see what planets are there. You can look at the apprentice cheat sheet to see what those planet archetypes mean. And then you can know how you're expressing this. If you don't have any planets there, you're just expressing Leo energy, leading, confident, pushing forward, really expressing a lot of creativity, thinking outside the box in that area of your life. So we also have some challenging manifestations that manifest during Leo season. It'd be a really great time to, you're welcome. Melly says it's her 6th house, so you're definitely probably very responsible. You're very leading when it comes to like your daily routines and your responsibility. Maybe a little intense about it. And it also has the 6th house is also the body and health. So you might have some focus in that area as well. So challenging manifestations. Leo rules the sun. It rules the ego. We talk a lot in the spiritual community about the shadow, the shadow. Well, you know, the shadow is only here because of the light. Light shines. Things and blockages are in the way, and those create shadows. That is not darkness. Darkness exists independently from these two things. The light, and we're going to talk about this when we get into the demiurge aspect here. She's OCD, Melly says. Makes sense. I love astrology. And I'm a hot mess. So like I'm like OCD when it comes to spiritual matters, but like definitely not 6th house matters. Aquarius rules my 6th house. I wish I had some of the Saturnian Aquarian aspects, but I don't. I just have the scattered ADD Aquarian aspects when it comes to organization and 6th house stuff. But anyway, Leo is egotistical, vain, proud. They can be a bully and very, very, very stubborn, intolerant, dogmatic, patronizing, and domineering. So be mindful. We're all expressing this a little bit right now. It's really heated. We have a fixed T-square happening that we've been experiencing all year that is extremely highlighted right now and will be until the end of the year. Things are intense. They're intense. So be mindful. And if these are things that, manifest in your life, I can be extremely patronizing, particularly in the direction of muggles that I think are ignorant and ruining everything for the rest of us and just believing everything. And I know that I have to catch myself. I do have to catch myself. So definitely whenever Leo moons come around, I do set a lot of intentions around the ego, around, the shadows that manifest from said ego. And we're going to talk about how people may claim that the sun is aligned with Sirius on 8/8, and it is not, but what it is aligned with is a star in Draco. So we're going to talk about how it is both the light and the shadow being projected right now. It is the demiurge, the lion and with the serpent tail, the sun and the moon, the light and its shadows, needing to deal with itself and integrate in order to then accept the feminine, accept its equal, accept the divine womb and return to the grail, to the divine mother, and seek union. The shadows are what stand in the way from our mind being able to do this. So herbs associated with Leo are bay leaves, chamomile, frankincense, juniper, and rosemary if you want to use any of those in your new moon ritual. And then it's covered by the sun. So it's the planet of consciousness, our identity, objective reality. So we all are being extremely objective right now and really only seeing things from our perspective, and other people cannot see our perspective. I've had a lot of rhymes come through lately. Using my holy grail tincture, and this is one of Sharon's. This is her clarity essence, but I shake it. I have crystals in there, so I shake it and I'm like, 1, 2, 3, help me see. And I did that right after arguing with somebody on the internet about this Lionsgate nonsense. And before I could even finish the C, my sound is gone. Oh no, let me know if you guys can hear me, because what does that mean? Oh, you hit mute? Oh, okay. I got so scared. I was like, oh no. Good looking out though, Melly, because I will talk forever. But anyway, it went on to say that 1, 2, 3, help me see that not everybody will agree with me. And we need to realize that if everybody is agreeing with us, then we're not making any changes. We aren't challenging the system. We aren't fighting for anything. We are falling in line. It's okay, Molly, no problem. The purpose here, particularly in the house that's ruled by Leo, this is where you're supposed to shine. This is where you're supposed to lead. This is where you're supposed to make changes. And you have this fixed fire energy in order to burn long enough in order for you to do that. And it's where you enjoy it. Your talents, your passions, expressing creativity. Your Leo house is a really great place to look for your purpose, as well as where your sun falls, because that is where you shine, your north node and your midheaven. If you can mix all of those things together, you got your purpose. Find something that mixes all those things together. Heather can hear me good. Okay. So we are going to dive into the chart, talk about some normal stuff, and then we're going to get into some more esoteric topics, and then we're going to crack open this New World Order religion nonsense and read out of some books published through the UN. Okay, wait, not yet. We're going to look at the chart first. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm not going to be able to see the chat, so I hope everybody can hear me. Let me go over here. Okay, hopefully you could see my cursor. Okay, so the moon, we're meeting now on the 5th, the night of the 5th. The moon actually falls on the 8th, on 8/8, at 6:50 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So the time will be different depending on your location. This is just iced tea, by the way. It's not like alcohol or anything. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that the moon falls here at 16 degrees of Leo. And it's part of an interesting stellium. So what we have here, I wish I had drawn a little graphic like I did last time. Maybe I will post this page in the Discord for you guys to look at, because with all these lines, it makes it kind of hard to see. But what we have here is we have the sun and moon conjunct at 16 degrees of Leo, the lion. It is in alignment, exact alignment, literally exact alignment. If you see this, the moon on 8/8 every year, the sun, we won't always have a new moon on this day. We happen to this year. And I think that is because this is the year we are supposed to start anew and truly break free, and reclaim our sovereignty. And all these years of research and me being in this fucking rabbit hole was leading up to this moment. I really, really, really do believe that, and I will touch on why, and why this is such a pivotal point for us to manifest using our magical abilities to write the future that is being written for us and is heavily connected to this New World Order transit you guys have heard me talk about. That is the key to the 2021. It is the Saturn Uranus square, and the tail end of this 45-year story that started in 1988, conjunct the galactic center, will end in 2032, right around the 2030 agenda, which we'll be talking about here tonight. Conjunct Polaris, opposite the galactic center, conjunct the pole star. And I really feel like they are harnessing this heavily, and astrologers have tied it to the shifts in dynasties time after time after time again. And this square to the next conjunction, so 2021 to 2032, that time frame, is the shift into globalization. It is connected to this globalizing of the world. So every year on 8/8, the sun aligns with 16 degrees of Leo. That means it also conjuncts a star in Draco that falls at 16 degrees 13 minutes. So it is only 1 minute off. It is aligned with both the lion and the dragon every year on 8/8. It is not aligned with Sirius, which is right here at 14 degrees. It aligns with that point in July. It aligns with Draco. It aligns with, I am not going to try to pronounce this word, but we will talk about what it means later when I get into some of the Chinese research that I did. But it is spelled Shaowei, and it is the dragon's tail. It is literally the star that represents the dragon's tail, not his head, not his chest, not any other part of the dragon. It is the dragon's tail. It really is the demiurge. And that's what we have here at 16 degrees. We then have Mercury at 23 degrees. And then this moon is conjunct two very important asteroids. It's conjunct Alexandria, which I've been aware of for quite a while, the Sun-Alexandria conjunction I've been waiting for. And it is also conjunct the Hopi asteroid, which we'll touch on here in a second what that means. I just want to kind of map out for you what the energetics of this moon are. So we have this huge stellium here, which sits opposite Saturn in Aquarius. So it's making this opposition. Saturn and the moon are both square Uranus in Taurus, which is actually conjunct the asteroid Amor, which is the asteroid of love, And that is actually exactly conjunct at 18 degrees the asteroid Child, which isn't in this software. It's only in my other software, so you don't see it here. But this is making a fixed T-square. Most astrologers will be talking about the fixed T-square between the Sun, the Moon, Saturn, and Uranus, and then the trine to Chiron that's going on. But what's really going on, I've been really digging deeper into asteroids, is a fixed T-square. So I was interested to see what is in this missing point here. What is over in these degrees of Scorpio? If we have Hopi, Alexandria, the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury here, square Uranus, the asteroid Love, and the asteroid Child, and opposite Saturn, what is over here in this fourth point? And what I found is it is the asteroid Industria, which is the asteroid of industry. It's the Roman virtue of hard work, but it's also Latin for industry, business, and the tendency to work towards persistency. So we can see that happen, like manifesting in our scientific materialism, transhumanism, this fourth industrial revolution that we see happening, the push in AI, but we can also align with that for the persistency that we will need and the hard work that we will need to maneuver what is to come. We are going to have to be taking drastic changes. We have our loved ones and our child conjunct Uranus right now. People are going to have to be making radical Uranian decisions around these things, whether or not to vaccinate, whatever, I said it and then I say the word, whether or not to inoculate your child, to keep them in school, to make huge changes right now. And both paths are Uranian in nature. You see the glyph of Uranus, it's that line down the middle and then these two little curves. I look at them as like the two timelines that Uranus can take that are close right now, but will go so far later if we continue past that. See how it curves? And it goes in two extremes. And we have the Uranian awakening, because Uranus really governs awakening, enlightenment, progress for our evolution of consciousness, naturally, but also inorganically through technology. Which is what we see happening. We are either making these drastic changes to liberate Uranus from the system, Saturn, our children, and have to make changes and a lot of hard work. It's in Taurus on ourselves, take on the burden for ourselves in order for the security that Taurus needs moving forward. Or we're taking the other choice and we are altering their DNA and we are indoctrinating them into some sort of new reality. And these are the two trajectories that this is creating right now. So this fixed T-square is super interesting to me. I need to check on you guys to make sure you guys can still hear me. Sharon's here. Hi, and you guys can hear me. Okay, so we're talking about this fixed T-square. These are going to be the houses you're going to want to really see what is happening in your chart. This is where you're really going to be feeling it throughout the end of the year, because this is where this Saturn-Uranus square is, this New World Order transit I've been talking about, which is making us make decisions. A lot of people are leaning into Uranus through either like erratic protesting, which yes, very much needs to be done, or the ingested technology into the body. Here, Taurus, Uranus together. Well, many of us, we're having to lean into Saturn, and we're having to go back to the old and not the new, and, you know, figure out how to like grow our own food and go off grid and build things for ourselves and do things for ourselves and remove from the system to build our own system. That's Saturn. Saturn is going to help us to do that. We really need to lean into that energy. And it's in an opposition to this moon. So it's there and we can integrate it. It's working in the Aquarius area of our life naturally. Right now it's retrograde. So it is having us redo some stuff and remake some decisions and readdress some things. And both of these planets here are helping to lock down the collective in general as they're here, but that is forcing us to make decisions, make certain decisions. And this particular moon is when a lot of them can be made. It's tied so heavily to this transit that I've talked about is going to control our narrative, and they have been harnessing multiple times. I've been talking about this for a long time. If you followed me for a while, you guys have heard me talk about the New World Order transit, the Saturn-Uranus conjunction that's conjunct the galactic center. Like, y'all have heard this. And I say it's connected to the 2030 agenda and the smart cities and where the world is headed. Think The Giver. Like, if you ever read The Giver, that is the world that I picture when I think of the future. Daily injections, total, like, ideals of a utopia where everybody is equal, but it's owned by corporations and you are slaves, and you are kept from the truth, and you are indoctrinated into a falsehood. And the New Age movement, while thinking they're stopping it, is inadvertently helping it along. And this moon, I really feel, is where a lot of these leaders are going to be able to step forward and start to set the intentions in order to push away from the herd and become the leaders that lead the way out of the matrices that we weren't even sure were a thing. So, in short, for regular astrology, before I go off on a whole bunch of tips, look and see where Leo is. Whatever house number that is, look that up. That is where you're going to want to really set some intentions. The house opposite, we're going to be releasing some stuff and also having a culmination here in 2 weeks in this area. It's very much in focus as well. These are in opposition. So they're always kind of, seeking some sort of balance and harmony. Right now, we have our loved ones to think about. We have our children to think about. All these changes in order to keep them safe and secure, that's Taurus. We're simultaneously processing so many fucking core wounds within the self, which is unlocking so much ancient wisdom, which is really helping us to navigate this. This is all new territory. Nobody can help you navigate it because nobody has navigated this before. We have to be leaders. We have to show the way because nobody can show us the way because nobody's fucking done this before. We are in the unknown. And wherever Leo is, this is where you are meant to lead. This is why you incarnated. This is where you are meant to shine and show others how to lead in that area of your life. And it will be different for everybody. But we have this opposition here between industry and liberation, but they're also working hand in hand with each other because this is a fixed T square. So this is a fixed grand cross if you add in the asteroid industry over here. And so it's working. They're all working together. The elites here in Leo, which yes, we're the leaders as well, but we also have them, the elites here in Leo. Saturn in Aquarius locking us down with all those restrictions. Uranus coming with the new technology, really shaking things up, implementing new things in order for a new world order to occur, and the industry being built around it. This is all really sustained in this fixed energy right now. And we can kind of come in as these fucking wizards who are like, okay, I see what's happening. And I because I've starting to understand myself and my mission, I am here to set intentions in order to help lead out of this. However it looks, it will look different for everyone. So basically that's as much regular astrology as we're going to do. We're kind of going to get into some weird stuff now. Let me just check in with the chat, make sure you guys are still here. Strong says hi. Okay, good. I did that in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay, so we talked about all of that. Okay, so I found it interesting. Oh, the moon is at 1613. So the star in Draco that the sun aligns with on this day is actually at 16 degrees, 16 minutes. So it's like 8-8 and 8-8, which is super interesting. And that is where the sun is every year on 8-8. And I went and looked to see what what asteroid do I have right here natally? So like what, I don't have any placements there in Leo, but I was like, what's there? What is hit every year on 8/8? And it is the asteroid Fate. It's literally my fate and my destiny to like dial in on this ritual. I really do feel like I'm like fulfilling some sort of like mission right now. Not to like get all Leo about it, but I do. I feel that. So I wrote here that we have here in the chart represented. We have the divine partnership represented in a multitude of ways. The sun conjunct the moon here in the sign of romance. Amara, this Amara, how do you pronounce that? It's French. Anyway, conjunct the asteroid child, so the asteroid love conjunct the asteroid child, the sun conjunct the moon. These align with Andromeda, as does Hecate and Eris. And then we have the serpent represented by the Draco conjunction here. And also Industria is aligned with Serpens, the serpent in the grasp of Ophiuchus right now. So we have the divine partnership, and then we have the serpent, and it's the divine partnership that helps us, the divine partnership within the self, or sometimes within our relationships, helps us to integrate this serpent, this shadow, and activate the wisdom in order to pass the test of Saturn, which is aligned with Cygnus, which is also representative of the test in mythologies. And this helps us to unlock both knowledge through Alexandria and wisdom through the Hopi in order to come up against the conflict of the industry and the New World Order agenda that's being implemented through this Saturn-Uranus square. So really quick, I'm just going to touch on what the Hopi asteroid means to me, because I feel like we really need to integrate that in order to navigate this. It really holds a lot of the wisdom that we need in order to combat the New World Order, and we'll touch on why here in a second. So it's here at 13 degrees conjunct Alexandria. We have Alexandria as that like lost ancient knowledge, right? It's esoteric knowledge, it's philosophical knowledge, it's the mysteries, but it is very masculine in nature. While the Hopi is connected to the native cultures of the earth-based cultures, so it is very aligned. And it is naturally connected to not only the stars through free flowing energies and not some crazy lion portal, but the earth and beyond, other worlds beyond, other dimensions. They also have a vision for the future, just like this New World Order, a New Age realm that we're going to touch on here in a second. And they have the prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors and everybody coming together with a much different concept than the elitists do. So we are in this period of globalization, and it's like, what kind? What, we have different options here, and in order to navigate it, we really need to integrate this like earthly wisdom, this divine feminine wisdom of the Hopi and of Sirius, which is rising in the sky right now, along with the sun. And so it could really integrate that divine feminine knowledge and wisdom. So I read here that they have a vision for the future. Now, my astrology software says that this asteroid is said to be associated with ambushes, particularly of the psychological variety, which I find very interesting. Territorial claims and disputes, an attack or an ambush of perceptions. So it's almost like making you see or think that something is happening that is not. And it also would be me shattering your reality right now with like your perception wasn't accurate, and you've been ambushed. So here's reality. Have fun picking up the pieces, but this shattering brings you back down to the earthly realm where you can harness that wisdom, that grounded wisdom. Um, so it also is said to be associated with the need for deep-seated defense, as well as ancient wisdom. And then I wrote here the warrior of the rainbow archetype. So these are all things that we could be manifesting right now through this moon, which are very, very, very much needed right now. So we have this Uranus Saturn square, right? You guys have heard me talk about this. This is the transit that's connected to globalization that is being harnessed by them. It's connected to the vaccine release. If you've been following along in the Discord, I've connected it to many, many things, including that weird mini Statue of Liberty ritual that was going on during the 4th of July when the sun was actually connected with Sirius and other things. So it's connected to the New World Order, right? And we are at the end of an old world order. There will be a new one. And it's just like, are we going to fall in line with what they have laid out for us? Or are we going to build our own sovereign, true, and free? So globalization, what kind? We have Hopi and the prophecies that they have released into the public. More recently, a lot of their elders have come out saying that they have held on to this knowledge for a very long time, waiting for us to be ready for it. And according to their elders, it is now that this transition is occurring. So we have the Hopi, or we have this New World Order, which I really do believe they're harnessing this like Leo Draco conjunction right here, and that like demiurge aspect in order to control. But we can harness that in order to integrate, because we need to realize that the demiurge is us. We have this lion and this serpent within. This war is going on within. And if we liberate ourselves from this war and claim our sovereignty, then we become co-creators. We ascend out of the control system and we can start to see shit like this and break free from things like this and navigate from a higher perception where we can see a little bit more of the illusion, and they don't want that. And so that is why they flood the community with so much nonsense around this time in order to steer us in the wrong direction. So we have the old versus the new. The old Hopi native way versus the new. And then we have a middle. And that is really where we need to find ourselves, is somewhere in the middle. The old has a lot of wisdom to bestow upon us, but it also did not work fully. We have now developed our like masculine, analytical, logical mind so much. We need to find some sort of balance in between. And I do touch on this a lot in my Atlantis video, which is available for all Patreon members. So I definitely recommend checking that out, especially if you're new. And we do have a lot of new members. So hi guys, welcome to all of our new members. So now is the time to remember a time before Alexandria, back to the golden age of Atlantis. We also have powerful Atlantis alignments happening this month. Atlantis is opposite Neptune, the flood, which is currently retrograde. It's also the illusion, which is shattering right now in order for us to see. Neptune rules illusions, and it's retrograde, so it really is shattering illusions around Pisces, the spiritual realm. We have Venus, the planet of relationships, and the people around us coming into conjunction with Atlantis later this month. And then we have both of those and Mercury this month all transiting the supergalactic center. Venus conjuncts Atlantis on the 15th, and then the galactic center on the 18th, and Atlantis conjuncts the supergalactic center on the 24th. I'm actually in the midst of an Atlantis return because my Atlantis is conjunct the supergalactic center along with my sun. So a lot is coming through for me, but set intentions to remember a time before Alexandria, before these inversions, before the fall and the split of Atlantis, back to the last golden age. To remember back to that time of an alignment, of enlightenment and love. For another one is quickly approaching, and they are trying everything they can to invert it to their will, to make it inorganic. They can't stop what's coming, and so they're trying to completely separate us from it. So set intentions around aligning with this period that your soul remembers of alignment, of enlightenment, of love, because we are approaching upon another. They are trying to invert this rise of consciousness to their will. But set intentions to align with the truth among the illusion. Somewhere there is a middle ground, and that's what we're trying to find here. Somewhere there's a middle ground, and as our sun approaches the spring equinox, the autumn equinox, and its alignment with the supergalactic center, we are going to slowly be coming more and more into balance, into union. So I have a bunch of notes here. I don't know how much of this we're going to cover. I do want to do like a whole video on a lot of this other stuff, but really quick, let me just see here all the notes I did on the moon. So we talked a lot about Leo being the ego, the crown, the elite, the light, the royalty, but do not forget that it is also the children, the romance, creativity, passions, the heart, love, and joy. We need to reclaim this archetype. We need to reclaim it and align with the higher octave. And remember, we are the demiurge. We are the demiurge, and this war is within us. And I wrote here that I really do believe that this entire thing was about this. From day one, my awakening, everything that was shown to me, I really do feel it was leading up to this moon. This moon feels so pivotal to me for a multitude of reasons that I can't even begin to express because there's like a million pages of notes here. But it's big. It's big. And it aligns with my asteroid fate, so I really, really do believe that. Every year, the Lionsgate sun, where the sun is on 8/8, aligns with my asteroid fate. Of course, that rhymes. And it is the fate, the inevitable fate, the fate you can't stop, like death and things like that. So I find that very interesting. So hold on one second. I'm not going to cover all of this because we have a lot of slides here on this New World Order religion that I want to get to that I think is really important. So I do just want to touch here that don't forget that Sirius, which is rising from the underworld right now as it's heliacal rising in the sky, which, by the way, according to Bernadette Brady, who is, I don't have her book in here with me, who is like an expert, an astrological, fixed star astrologer, and an expert on fixed stars. According to her research, the true heliacal rising of Sirius is when the sun reaches 9 degrees of Leo, which I checked to see when that is, and it's actually July 31st, which is my daughter's birthday. And then she says that the visible rising is when the sun reaches 20 degrees of Leo, which is August 20th. So according to fixed star astrology, it is not the 8, it is those 2 dates, but it is entirely dependent upon latitude. She has other charts that map it towards latitude. So I did find that recently, those 2 dates that still are not the 8th. And it should also be noted that it only applies to the northern hemisphere, so if you are in the southern hemisphere, these dates do not apply to you. Wow, the date in July, the 5th, does apply to the whole planet. So that should be the one they harness. But they do not harness it for the collective. They only harness it for themselves. They always do rituals around that time. We have the 4th of July, and many countries, independent states, and ritualistic things are done during that time. So we have Isis and Horus rising in the sky. It's the divine mother and the divine child. And this lion's gate is really designed to crucify this child upon entry. The divine mother birthing the divine child in the morning, the Sirius rising, and then the sun. That's how it would happen at heliacal rising. Sirius would be up just a brief, so Isis would be up just a brief moment before the sun, Horus, her child. But the lion's gate, during that time where they're rising together, that week or so as it rises, is literally crucifying it upon entry, as we looked at through my Lionsgate video and all the different connections to the crucifixion of Christ. And Sharon said, as I was sharing all these findings with her, that this is literally the ultimate perversion of the masculine archetype, which is supposed to protect the feminine, not outshine her, not diminish her and forget about her and not talk about her at all and focus entirely on the lion. It is supposed to honor her. And they very much did honor this time of fertility, of rebirth, in the ancient times when they celebrated the heliacal rising of Sirius and mapped their calendars around it. So give me 1 second here, because like I said, I'm not going to cover all of this. Okay, so I did want to just touch on the fact that I'm hearing a lot of people say that the Lion's Gate is the darkness posing as light. And that is not what we have here. That is not what is going on. This is the light, and I want to be very, very clear about that. I wrote something here. I want to be very clear that this is not the darkness posing as light. This is the light. If you can't grasp that concept, then unfortunately you are still within the dualistic paradigm of light equals good and dark equals bad, and this is false. We have polarized light, which is that dominating, controlling, patriarchal force of order and structure and control. The New World Order is a very, very, very light-based agenda. It's structure and control and dominion, worshiping and a hierarchy. And then we have polarized darkness, which exists as well. And then there is this balanced midpoint where we have what would be considered good. Evil would be on either end. It's polarized. It is not seeking unification. It is seeking a split. You are being lied to if you believe that light is right paradigm. This is a New World Order agenda. We're going to touch into this now. As is the polarized darkness, which is very much a thing, and they do work together until they don't anymore. So anything that feeds the divide and conquer agenda is polarized, and we have this on both sides, very, very, very much. Darkness is the feminine. Darkness is intuition. Darkness is magic. It's the mysteries. It's wisdom. It's your deep resonant soul. Well, light is your consciousness. These are two very, very, very different things, and neither one is good and neither one is evil. We need to really understand that, because what I'm going to lay out for you here is the false light paradigm and how it is very much connected to the UN and the New Age movement, and it is being used to control us and funnel us in to the New World Order. And many people are leading the way for them. So hold on, let me just make sure I got through what I want to get through here before we go into these other slides. Okay, so Sirius is Isis. It's the goddess of fertility. This is all energy that's rising right now that the Lionsgate does not talk about. or if anything, it cuts it off. So you do not want to funnel it through that. You want to funnel it naturally, align with this naturally. You and the star, because it's all you. You don't need a fucking portal. You don't need a double-digit date. You don't need any of this stuff. You can just align with Sirius, as above, so below. It's all. You don't even need this special date. Yes, it makes it easier to align with it, but it is part of your cosmic consciousness. All these stars reside within you. So Sirius is Isis. It's the goddess of fertility, of motherhood, of magic, of death, of healing and rebirth. She is the daughter of the earth and the sky. She is both a twin and a divine partner. She is the divine mother. I wrote here, I believe this period of time is hijacking and crucifying the birth of the divine child, both within and within our reality through like actual childbirth. I believe that this could be attacking incoming souls, funneling them through a lion's gate and crucifying them upon entry. So like not crucifying them as like they're dead, but like the Christ consciousness, like cutting off that like ascended wizardly consciousness. I hate to use Christian archetypes too much, but it's what's been coming through with this Holy Grail stuff, so I'm just leaning into it. I wrote that, is this attacking incoming souls? And then I went to pull a card when I was channeling this, and I was like, give me the archetype. If we, independent from a lion's gate, free-flowing Sirian energy, what is that? What is the free-flowing energy right now if we unplug from this shit and just plug into the cosmos? And I pulled the Empress. I don't know how much more goddess of fertility can you get. The star is being reborn from the underworld as it rises, and its energy is rising as well. We need to align with its archetype, not the constellation that the sun is in at that time, which is Leo. That's not Sirius's archetype. That's Leo's archetype. You do your own thing, Leo. Like, get out of our thing. Hi, Liz. So we have Sirius representing life, death, resurrection, reincarnation, time after time again as it goes from the underworld to the upper world through these heliacal risings and settings. The stars that don't do that, that are around the pole, are said to have a harder time understanding Earth. So this Sirius star that does dip into the underworld and into the upper world through these settings and risings is meant to help work with us. It is one of the archetypes that we need to work through in order to ascend to those polar stars. We are reclaiming the demiurge and ending the war within by accepting and connecting to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father as one. And then we talked about the Grail quest. Okay, so let's go on to, hi guys. Yes, Empress energy. Okay, so we're going to go into some slides. Makeup is making my face itch. Okay, so do you guys remember, some of you will, some of you are new. Back on the 14th of March, we had the time change. And I did a post about how the time change is a total psyop and it's used to hijack our period of balance of the equinox, the spring equinox, and the equilux in particular, because it fell on the exact moment of equal day and equal night, known as the equilux. If you guys remember, I did that video. I wrote here, it's designed to distort us and sabotage the moment of equilibrium the spring equinox brings each year. The ancients knew this was important. The sun aligns with the supergalactic center, and all kinds of balance can occur between these two energies. I think some of you will remember me doing this post. So then I did a candle spell, an uncrossing candle, in order to mitigate any agenda that was behind the time change on the day of the equilux. Any sort of like black magic or dark occult. It's so funny because I found out it was actually from the light, not the dark at this time. Any sort of like influence And as the candle was burning, I was scrolling through Instagram and it caught on fire, like huge fire. You can scroll up to the 14th of March in the Discord um, and look and watch the video of this thing like catch on fire and like burn down in like nothing flat. Right as I found this post, which was something I had known, I'd come across Alice Bailey multiple times, particularly this 10-point plan for like world domination and new world order that's always attributed to her. Every time I would come across it, I would always try to research it to find it anywhere but some crazy Christian website, and I couldn't actually find it in any of her literature. So I think what it is it's an inversion of her teachings to make them sound a lot worse. But they're bad enough themselves. You don't really have to do that. But I found this post about the Lucifer Publishing Company, which is now known as Lucis Trust, and its connection to the New World Order. I mean, its connection to, well, that too, the UN. And then I dove into that a little bit deeper in the Patreon back then on the 14th, which you can go back and look if you're a Patreon member. But this was around the same time that we had the equinox, this balance day, the sun was aligned with the supergalactic center, and it was the equinox. I just went back to look and see like what was I talking about at that time, and that's what was coming through. It was a lot of Atlantis stuff, a lot of balance, really aligning with these natural energies, these free-flowing energies, and seeing the psyops everywhere. So then on around the solstice, Jamie, are you here? Jamie actually sent me a bunch of books. So her aunt was like this OG starseed who had all these old occult astrology books. She actually sent me a bunch of books, and one of them was Alice Bailey's Esoteric Astrology, which I had wanted because I wanted to dive deeper into her work. There's another one, the Future of Nations or something like that, that I really want to tie into, that I really wanted to dive into. So she sent me these books, and I just went back to kind of look and see like what was going on. Okay, so when I first came across this concept of the Lucis Trust and the New Age movement and the UN, independent from like crazy Christian apocalypse, New World Order websites, was around the equinox when the sun was conjunct the supergalactic center. Okay, see you tomorrow, Sharon. When the sun was conjunct the supergalactic center. And I was cutting ties with any sort of interference from the New Age realm or any sort of occult influences around the time change. And that was when I first fell into this Lucis Trust, New Age religion concept. Then around the solstice, when Venus conjunct Alexandria and Sirius and the sun opposed the galactic center, I got like literally a stack of 30 books from Jamie. And multitude of them have helped with several things, but a lot of it is really helping me to decode the Masonic and the Rosicrucian influence because of the books that she sent. And then now, on first harvest, so the period between the solstice and the next equinox is called first harvest, or Lammas, or Linguasa, depending on how you, I know I'm probably pronouncing that last one wrong, depending on what you want to call it, but it's the period, the midpoint between the solstice and the equinox. We have Sirius' heliacal rising, Mercury conjunct Alexandria, and Venus and Atlantis and Mercury all transiting the supergalactic center. And I finally dove into this book, looking up Sirius, and that's when I stumbled across the literal New World Order religion, and pretty much a lot of the things that I was guessing, its connection to Masonry, to the lion, not talking about its heliacal rising, acting like Sirius is in the constellation of Leo, focusing entirely the lion around Sirius and many other things. So before we get into that, I did just want to touch on this other book that she gave me, which had to do with fixed stars. And in there, I found this page of glyphs, and it's stars astrological, or like actually alchemical. These are used by alchemists in like the 16th century, like the 1500s. And the first thing I noticed is that Aldebaran is the cross. And if you have followed me for a while, you've heard me talk about this like fixed cross that switched to mutable, and the cross and the serpent. If you're interested in this concept, I would look at my a Fucus video, which is available on YouTube, where I dive very heavily into that. So I found it interesting that Aldebaran was the cross. And then if you see Sirius here, so remember, this is pretty ancient. This is the 1500s, so it is pre-New Age movement. You can see that Sirius is the cross, and then it's like almost like an ascension out of the cross that unites those opposites. And then we have like a couple of different ladder rings to what looks like a moon glyph. Maybe even like a Lilith glyph, so maybe it is that like mother archetype, and really uniting that cross with the feminine and allowing us to ascend out and back home. So I found that super interesting, and I did want to share that because I just came across it, but it's independent from this rabbit hole. Okay, so this is the book that she sent me, Esoteric Astrology. We're going to cover a lot of this tonight. Like I said, if you guys need to come back, come back. I have some web pages that I want to share as well. But this is written by Alice Bailey in 1922. Originally, it was called the Lucifer Trust, and it is the publishing company for the UN, the spiritual arm of the UN. So it says here that the Lucas Trust's publishing company was founded in the early 1920s as Lucifer Publishing Company. The Lucis Trust says that the name was probably chosen to honor Lucifer. The name was changed in 1925 to the Lucis Publishing Company. In Latin, it means the bearer of light, and Lucis means light. The company has headquarters in New York, London, and Geneva, which are like the three headquarters for the New World Order. I'm actually going to share my screen here really quick before we get into this book. And I'm just gonna come over here, and we're gonna cover a couple of things. So you can go ahead and easily find so much about this. It is not hidden. You can go to their actual website and see their connection to spiritual hierarchy. The words New World Order is thrown all around, and you can read all about how they are connected to the UN through their own website, particularly through Goodwill. World Goodwill is the resource that they have at the UN. They're actually headquartered at the UN, so they're tied very heavily to the 2030 agenda. You can read all about it on their actual website here, Lucas Trust. You can read all about how their plan for it, which sounds really great, but in order to really implement this kind of stuff, the world has to completely crumble in order to start from scratch, where everything is supplied for you, but you're going to have a vaccine in order for any of this stuff to be offered to you. And it's going to really look a lot like smart cities and like really, if you haven't read The Giver or watched the movie, I highly recommend that book, because it's a great example of what I really think this is going to look like. A peaceful utopia of blind slaves. But yes, so they are very much helping to push the 2030 agenda of the UN and the Davos Economic Forum crowd. And you can read all about it on their own website. I highly recommend just like looking through their website here, Lucas Trust, and reading all about it. You can see them talking about the 2030 agenda for sustainable development at a new moon meeting. Like, I don't know how much more new age you can get. This was on August 10th of 2018. You can see that they are currently at 866 United Nations Plaza. That is where they are located in New York. Apparently they used to be at 666 United Nations Plaza. I had another website here, but it seems to be gone. So give me 1 second because it had all the good stuff. So this website is Christian based, this biblio. I dated a guy whose last name was Bailey. I wonder if that was some sort of karmic fucking thing. Where is that? I had it up too, so it looks like they got rid of it for me, which is just lovely. Oh, it was on Pinterest. I found it through Pinterest. No. Well, that sucks, guys. Well, it talked all about their connection and how they promote the New World Order. Where is it? Alice Bailey, UN. You think they just removed it? Okay, well, I'll have to find it and post it. This is somebody's just named is that. I could just look at my history and find it later, but this really sucks. It was good. Give me a second here. Hold on. I'm gonna find this because it's important. So you guys just wait 1 second. I got this. I got this. And they talk a lot about the divine plan and this like hierarchy. This is it. Okay. Open it. Thank you. Okay, found it. Okay. Okay, so, sorry, I was going back to look at the chat. Okay, so this is this website, bibliopleiadians.net. I come across this website all the time in all my weird research. They do a really good job at tying it all together, but then they usually kind of take it a little too far in the religious sense, but they really didn't in this research here. They did a great job on this page. So feel free to check out this website. I highly recommend checking it out. I did find it through Pinterest. As you see, it was hard for me to find on a Google search. So you might want to just check this out right here. So this is the spiritual foundation for the United Nations. Here is a symbol, Masonic symbol, and then this is the United Nations symbol, which is split off into 33 segments, which is connected with the Freemasons. So it says here that this is the publishing house which prints and disseminates United Nations material. She actually coined the term New Age back in the 20s. She was one of the first people to use the word New Age, and it really promotes many, many, many New Age books. That is what it was designed to print. The publishing company was first created in 1922 by Alice Bailey and her husband Foster Bailey. To publish books by both her and Blavatsky from the Theosophical Society. The title of Alice Bailey's books, Initiation and Human Solar, was originally printed in 1922 and clearly shows the publishing house as Lucifer Publishing. She changed it later because it just didn't sound good and she was getting too much flack for it. It used to be at 666 United Nations, but now it's moved to 866. In Alice Bailey's books, Education for a New Age, she suggests that the New Age world citizenship would be the goal of the enlightened, with a world federation, galactic federation, and a world brain, which sounds very AI to me. In other words, a one world government, a new world order. Lucis Trust is sponsored, among others, by all these people, including the Rockefellers, and so many people are on their board of trustees. And they sponsor a lot of things, including the UN. The United Nations has long been one of the foremost bringers for new spirituality and the gathering New World Order based on ancient occult and free Masonic principles. People don't realize this. They even do meditations at like 3:33 and stuff like that on 3:3 and all kinds of things. It's everywhere. So 7 years after the birth of the UN, a book was published by this theosophist, Alice Bailey, and she claimed that the growth of human intellect along the needed receptive lines for the preparation of the new age can be seen in planning of various nations and the effort of the United Nations to formulate a world plan. From the very start of this unfolding, 3 occult factors have governed the development of all these plans. And she talks a lot about the plan and submitting to the plan and the hierarchy in this book. And also like trying to categorize certain planets as sacred and others as not. And a lot of it is a whole lot of nonsense tied with a whole lot of dogma. It's pretty interesting. Within the United Nations is a germ, this is something she said, and a seed of great internal and meditating reflective group, a group of thinking and informed men and women whose hands lie the destiny of humanity. So the World Goodwill is what her organization is called that works with it, and she talks a lot about Christ on the website, but as you can see, the light they are really referencing is Lucifer, otherwise they would not have named it that. The United Nations is the chosen instrument of God. To be chosen instrument means to be a divine messenger carrying the banner of God's inner vision and outer manifestation, a new world religion. And then this ties into this Aquarian age, which is heavily connected through the New World Order philosophy, which is connected to Kundalini Yoga and the cult of Yogi Bhajan, and many other spiritual gurus are connected to the United Nations and the New World Order, particularly the ones polarized in the light, polarized in law of attraction and things like that. These are some other things that you can read. I definitely recommend this website. I had another one, like a PDF that was of some great research of tying these things together as well, that I will try to link in Discord. Melly says she just looked on their schedules and it's blowing her mind. Maybe post some stuff in the Discord, whatever you guys find. This is an ongoing rabbit hole. So let's go ahead and look at some stuff that, oh, these are those stars that I was talking about. They also are associated, so it's as ancient as the 1531, and it was used by alchemists in the 1500s, these symbols. So I find that interesting, the Sirius symbol, but that's just by the point. Okay, I was going to touch on like China and all kinds of stuff, but I don't know if we're going to get there. We're going to go back to these slides now. Okay, so we're going to dive into this book. I took some screenshots of some things, and I'm going to try to just read this. Stay with me or don't, but we're gonna decode the this New World Order religion. So I picked up this book, and I was like, what does this bitch say about Sirius? And then I was blown away because it is pretty much all the stuff that I got to in my Lionsgate video, but it was all theories. But now I just found it laid out in front of me as a full-blown New World Order religion. So it says here, Leo, being the 5th sign of the zodiac, counting from Aries via Taurus, and also the 8th sign, counting from Aries via Pisces. I don't know why you would do that. She does a lot of things in here that just don't make sense. Is closely connected through numerical affinity with Mercury, who is also conjunct this moon, by the way. So anybody following this religion would really like this moon because all the players that she talks about here are in play. Who is esoterically called the messenger of the 8th gate. Mercury was active at the time of individualization when the 8th gate was opened. And the major initiation of our planetary logos took place, producing in humankind the process of individualization. From another angle, this might be anticipated. Leo is related to Scorpio, whose number upon the zodiac are the same as Leo, being 5 and 8. She really wants to connect Leo with 8 for some reason, and it's a lot of stretching here, a lot of stretch to get that 8. You have therefore the formation, and she's always connecting random planets that don't make any sense to these triangles, saying that they're associated. And it's really some far out stuff that as an astrologer who does weird stuff, I can't even vibe with. A lot of it is nonsense. So being 5 and 8, you have therefore the formation of the triangle to which earlier referred, Leo, Scorpio, leading to initiation in Capricorn. I do agree with the initiation of Capricorn. So, as we are upon the subject, one other point might be touched upon here. August, which is ruled by Leo, is the month of the dog star, or of Sirius, which thus brings Sirius into close relationship with Leo. She never talks about July alignment. She never talks about Cancer. She never talks about the Divine Mother. She never talks about the stars' heliacal rising. She makes it sound like the sun aligns with Sirius. She makes it sound like the people in the Lionsgate make it sound like the sun aligns with Sirius in August, and that is not true. Not in ancient times and not now. Sirius, which thus brings Sirius into close relationship with Leo. Leo, in the cosmic sense and apart from our solar system altogether, is ruled by Sirius. Sirius is the home of the Greater Lodge, to which our fifth initiation admits a man, and to which it brings him as humble disciple. Later, when the New World religion is founded and working, we shall find that the major monthly festival in August is held at the time of the full moon, will be dedicated to the task of making contact via the hierarchy, always via the hierarchy. She's very clear on that. There's this clear hierarchy that we need to make contact through, the very pyramidal structure. So we need to make contact via the hierarchy with the Sirian force. Fuck the hierarchy. I can connect to Sirius myself. Each of the months of the year will later be dedicated through accurate astrological and astronomical knowledge. I went back to check to see her other ones, the things she claims that the Pleiades aligns with, or the Great Bear. She really focuses on Sirius, the Pleiades, and the Great Bear, and she associates them with different months that aren't accurate. She just connects things randomly. So this is not accurate astrological or astronomical knowledge. To whichever constellation in the heavens governs a particular month. She says a lot of things govern things, like esoterically this governs this and this governs this, but she doesn't correlate why. She just makes a lot of claims in this book. As Sirius governs Leo. This I shall later elaborate in the papers to be written anew the new approaches to spiritual reality. A lot of new approaches are really being manifested through here. So then it goes on to say, where's that one? Oh wait, that was supposed to be one more page. What page is that? 300? I tried to label it so I wouldn't get lost. Okay. So the influence of Sirius is not consciously felt until after the third initiation. If you remember in the post that I posted about Freemasonry, it talked about the lion's paw being the third degree, being connected with a third initiation of Freemasonry. It says here, Leo, Sirius, Leo, the sun, the moon, and Mercury, which are all conjunct right now at this 8-8 moon, are now the influences which the initiate is concerned. The influence of Sirius, 3 in number, are focused in Regulus. Sirius is at 14 degrees of Cancer, and Regulus isn't even in Leo anymore. It's at 0 degrees of Virgo, so far off. But she claims that the influences of Sirius, 3 in number, are focused in Regulus, which is the heart of the lion, which is, as you know, a star of the first magnitude. She really loves these archangel stars. Which is, as you know, a star of the first magnitude, which is frequently called the heart of the lion. So sketchy stuff. Such sketchy stuff already. Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten there yet, Melly. It's gonna get longer, but yeah, you definitely need to go have some wine. Okay, so let's talk about this hierarchy, right? It is the energy of this hierarchy which results in the manifestation of the divine androgynon, and in the 7 centers of force, which are the 7 spiritual energies. Hierarchy 3. The third creative hierarchy, or the 8th, they're called a lot of 8s, is particularly an interesting one. They are called the triads, for they hold in themselves the potencies of triple evolution, mental, physical, and spiritual. This is the flower of the earlier 8. They are the 8-fold points awaiting opportunity to flame forth. They are the devas who are ready for service, which is to give another hierarchy certain qualities that are lacking. This hierarchy is regarded as the great donors of immortality. What I heard is transhumanism, whilst themselves staying aloof from incarnation, the lords of sacrifice and love. They cannot pass out of the logic etheric body into the dense physical vehicle. This third hierarchy wields the third aspect of the electrical force of the first type of cosmic energy. They stand for the recurrent cycle of the first type of symbolism by the number 8. Like always coming back to 8, 8, 8, 8, which is very interesting, very similar to what I connected in my Lionsgate video without really knowing that they were doing this. And it says here, so the way I found this was I was looking up this 8th gate that they were talking about in the last video, and I couldn't find anything elaborating on it, where it said like Mercury ruled the 8th gate or something. Nothing more in this book on the 8th gate according to the index, but what I found was precipitation into the 8th sphere, which is that transhumanist energy that Rudolf Steiner talks about. And it says here that the rejection of these triadal lives by units of the 4th hierarchy is what precipitates a man eventually into the 8th sphere. He refuses to become a Christ, a savior, and remains self-centered. But it really sounds to me like she's pushing you into the 8th sphere. Barely touches on it here, doesn't elaborate on it like Steiner does. And when you look at the emblem of the UN, it is that grid of the 8th sphere. To understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the 8th sphere, I recommend watching the Schumann Resonance Frequency video that I did with Sharon and Claire here on YouTube. And we talk about this control grid that is being implemented around us in a multitude of realms, including the spiritual realm, that manifests as transhumanism, as controlling frequencies, and things like that. So, according to Alice Bailey, Sirius is the spiritual prototype of the Great White Lodge on Earth, of which modern Masonry is the distorted reflection, just as the personality is a distorted reflection of the soul. We already went over the web pages, so we're just going to go, those are the last pictures that I took. But then I found other ones after I took those that touched more on the Mason connection. So we're just going to go ahead and read those. So it says here, the focus very heavily on Leo for initiations. It says here the sun was in Leo when the physical plane of individualization took place, and that Leo governs Masonic rituals. So it says here, by the founding of the hierarchy upon the earth, this is one of the great secrets which Masonic ritual typifies, for the symbol of the sign of Gemini is the source of the concept of the two pillars, so familiar to Masons. It might therefore be stated that symbolically Leo governs the EA degree of Masonry, Gemini governs the FC degree of Masonry, and Sagittarius governs the MM Master Mason degree of Masonry, up to the episode of the raising of the Master, and the Capricorn governs the final part of the ceremony, the HRA degree. Let's see what else we got here. The later fact is, so she does touch on how Masonry is distorted, but how it's also our savior. So the later fact is responsible for the widespread attack made upon Masonry during this century. Masonry, inadequate and corrupt as it has been and guilty of overemphasizing certain forms of symbols, is nevertheless a germ or a seed of the future hierarchical effort. When that effort is, at some later date, externalized on earth. Masonry is governed by the seventh ray, and when certain important changes have been made and the spirit of Masonry is grasped instead of the letter, then we shall see a new form of hierarchical endeavor appear to aid in the restoration of the ancient and sacred mystery schools among men, particularly men. Written by a woman still says that because it is a fraternal organization and it is polarized in the masculine light. And then this goes on to talk about how she ties the fixed cross, the cardinal cross, and the mutable cross to different degrees in Masonry. I'm not going to read all of this, but she ties them all to different degrees of Masonry. Remember, she works hand in hand with the UN. And then she talks here about the Masonry holding the keys to the mystery of the lion and the unicorn, which we see a lot in royal symbolism. It's even on the crest of the royal family, the lion and the unicorn, or it's used a lot in the UK. And it says here, the mystery of the lion and the unicorn. And if you guys have followed me, we dove heavily into esoteric astrology, not through Alice Bailey, but through the works of other astrologers. And we touched on how, I highly recommend watching this video if you're a Patreon member, the Capricorn moon that we had a couple of weeks ago. We talked about how Capricorn is the top of the chart. It is the top of the mountain. It is the path of initiation, and how it has the multiple archetypes. It has the sea goat that goes to the depths. It has the mountain goat that goes to the peaks, and then it has the unicorn that has ascended beyond the muggle world and into something magical. And the New Age realm doesn't talk about that. They are focusing a lot on this Masonic, Messianic, Messiah type lion. But it says here, the mystery of the lion and the unicorn. This secret is preserved for us in the ancient nursery rhyme about the lion and the unicorn going up to town, and contains in a particular way the secret of initiation and the going up of the human being to the portal of admittance, into the hierarchy, always into a hierarchy. When we were discussing it as our own personal path of initiation, we're not being initiated into a hierarchy. We are growing as a soul. There's a difference here. There's different paths of initiation that are being laid before us. So we need to be mindful, constantly mindful of that. And it says here that going up of the human being to the portal of admittance into the hierarchy. as well as the mystic raising, of which Masonry holds the key. This deals with the emergence of consciousness of the initiate, triumph of the group and world consciousness, illumination over self-consciousness. In the true rendition of the ancient myth, the king of beasts is blinded and killed by the piercing of his eye, and heart by the long horn of the unicorn. So we need to channel our inner unicorn and pierce the lion's heart. So before I get into the cards and wrap this up, I did just want to touch a little bit on a couple of things here. So definitely we are deep in this New World Order religion. It's everywhere. It's using a lot of the same terminology that we are using. The New Earth. New Earth is New World Order. We need to be very mindful. We don't know where these things are initiated. Yes, we are in the process of manifesting a new Earth, but like words start places. And we need to be mindful as to what we are latching onto. So I was going to dive deeper into like alchemy and the lion and the serpent and stuff like that, but I think we're not going to do that. I think we're not going to go into any of that. I did just want to touch on the fact that after really seeking this like grail quest, this personal quest into the mysteries, into the unknown, not following others, but getting there for myself, it was very interesting for me to then pick up the Theosophical Astrology book, open it to Leo, after literally taking a drop of my Holy Grail tincture, to read this. First line, Leo, like a vision of Merlin. At that point, I was like, are you kidding me? What is happening right now? I already was on this whole Holy Grail tip. You guys know that. I've been talking about it for a long time. And it says, like a vision of Merlin, the romance of the Holy Grail sprang from the unseen source and lives timelessly in the imagination of men. Tendrils of mist shroud the beginnings of such ideas, and their emerging forms only later became crystallized in the shape of a vessel, a precious stone, or the lionine guards at the gate of Castle Mortal. And lionine is Latin for lioness. Every man dreams of the divine, and it is the greater passion that imputes for its pursuit lies. The longings of Lancelot may become ensnared in the coils of earthly beauty, but the chaste strivings of Percival succeed in bringing him face to face with awful beasts which guard the object of his quest. Some men have approached the two lions, white and red, and have trembled for a moment. Those whose hearts were greater than fear pressed forward and entered the fray. And then it goes on to talk about how there is this white lion and this red lion, and they are both within us, and they are these aspects that we need to deal with, just like the serpent that guards the Philosopher's Stone. There is also this lion, this light aspect that stands in the way. Oh, very interesting. Liz says that at 8 aspects and the planetary chronos is aligned with Sirius on that day. That's cool. So not only do we have the serpent that stands in the way, the shadow, the darkness that we need to work to integrate, but we also have this lion, this egoic manifestation of the self that is equally standing in the way of us obtaining our quest, obtaining the grail. And now is the time where we can integrate both of these aspects of the self. They are both in alignment, the lion and the serpent. And it goes on to say a bunch of other things about the lion and the different ascended forms of the lion, ascending to the white part of the lion. It talks a lot about like the royal connections and the glyphs and things like that, connections to Regulus and whatnot. But I found it very interesting that it was very much the lion is also said to guard this grail, which is the path back to that like esoteric mysteries of truth and enlightenment and true understanding of what is really fucking going on. Okay, let's just get through some of these cards. I pulled these cards yesterday for myself, and they were so perfect that I was like, okay, I'm just going to use these for this moon. And then I pulled a couple extra ones to dial in. But I pulled the Lovers and then the Castle. Before I read anything out of the book, what I saw in the symbolism is the Lovers. You can see the like energy of the Lovers, but expressed through more of like a mother-child archetype. As you can see the little spheres, the little pearls, and there is a large gold one and then a smaller gold one and like a little black one in between. And I looked at that as like the mother and the child, Sirius and Horus, both rising together, and really channeling that like lover, romance, children archetype of that Leo represents as well, and aligning with that, versus the Castle, which before I looked at the description of this, what I saw was a rose, an eye, and a fortress. The eye was very reminiscent of, esoteric orders. The all-seeing eye. The rose speaks very heavily to the polarized light mystery schools of like the Rosicrucians. And then you see, instead of this like circle, this like unified circle of these pearls, you have it like boxed in, and it's boxed in and it's dark, and you can't express the green energy of the heart. It's like you're locked in and you're closed off. So we're going to read these really quick. I have these big. Okay, so the Lover, the heart, so Leo. The heart, the beloved, the devoted. Pulsing through the heart of the Lover is gratitude. The Lover appreciates and experiences the world through the senses, reveling in beauty, song, art, music, sense, and sensuality. These are all great Leo new moon activities. This energy awakens at the tip of our tongue when we taste the sweetness of honey, kiss a lover, or speak gentle words to a child. The lover lingers in foreplay, aroused not by the getting there, but by the slow merging of self and other. This energy is usually experienced for short periods of time, as in order to feel it, we must fully be present and awake, with no expectations or rules about what should be. Rather, the lover is in awe of what the world presents, reveling in the glorious details, grateful to savor every last drop of life's offerings. When evolved, this archetype resonates with connection, expansion, devotion, and awe. And the lower archetype is indulgence, attachment, and obsession. The lover archetype is present everywhere, not just where conventional forms of pleasure and beauty are found. The lover's awe is unconditional. When you hold someone's gaze for several moments, you'll feel the lover within you awaken. It is common to seek the lover in another. The true gift is finding the lover in yourself. And then we have the Castle. And it says here, weird noise, the palace, the penthouse, the fortress. I think Eddie's doing something. It's no wonder fairy tales tell of sleeping princesses within castle walls. Like most archetypes, the castle is loaded with duality. It represents abundant riches, seductive fantasy, ornate wonders, and lavish adornments. Yet the walls are thick, cold, and shadowy. This card points to a tendency to hold on to possessions, quite possibly a literal home or position or perception or idea of what this time of year is really about. quite possibly a literal home or position that project the image of achievement, while the soul longs to run barefoot in the forest, leaving it all behind and align with the energy naturally. At times we must settle down, yet the castle lulls us with its spell of materialism, and we fall asleep to our deepest dreams. The castle can be a motivating force, an enchanting goal to travel towards, but it is best not to linger within its walls of decadent deception for too long. Notice how castles are designed to keep things out. They defend, they separate. It is likely there is a connection and community beyond its walls that will revitalize you. When evolved, you're visiting your throne of power and sovereignty. When in the dark, you are stuck, depressed, locked within its walls. And then I pulled these cards. So I pulled Saturn in Leo in reversed, Mars in Cancer, Mercury in Cancer, and then Jupiter in Pisces. And what came through for me is this card. If you see it in its upward position, the dude at the top is like bestowing stars upon these people. It's the card of generosity. He's a generous patriarch. And he is just like, a star for you, and a star for you, and a star for you. We're raining stars up in here. But in reverse, it looks like he's siphoning these stars from the people. And he's like, give me that star, give me that star, give me that star. And it's mine, and I'm funneling it into my own thing. And that's what I read from this, is like these people are having their Sirian alignment siphoned from them. And in order to break free from this, and flip it back around to where the stars are flowing to us, we have to work with these cards. And what came through first was, I was in the process of arguing with somebody on the internet about the Alliance Gate, and so the first thing was, I need to stop fighting. And then I thought about it more. Mars in Cancer fights for what matters. It fights for what is close to the home, to the loved ones. They fight for others. And it's just a matter of directing that energy in the right direction. I also really see this a lot as this like Saturn-Uranus conflict happening, and us needing to kind of navigate it by leaning into the Cancerian energy and like doing what's right for us and our loved ones. And so it's a matter of like focusing the fight in the right direction in order to create change. Really following our intuition, not following what everybody else is doing. What's right for you? I know it is popular to do certain things, but if it does not sit right, this is when we break free. Following your gut. Don't follow me. Don't follow the spiritual influencers. What sits right with you? It's a matter of we are fighting for our future. And the compassion and empathy that the Cancerian energy brings. And that leads into the intuition. It's like fighting through this intuitive guidance as to like where your energy is best directed, and really following your gut. And then we have Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter actually just left Pisces and entered Aquarius, but it's leaning into that energy of romance, of that like higher Jupiterian love in Pisces, where we are connecting beyond boundaries and like meshing in the Akash. It's really our close relationships, our intuition, and our fight for survival that are going to help us to navigate this siphoning motherfucker who's twisted our world upside down and have us navigating some sort of like mirror realm. We're flipping it back around and we're reclaiming our sovereignty. I pulled these ones yesterday. These ones I pulled today. And I pulled these today using my little mantra that I had in the beginning. I am sovereign, I am free, I can see with clarity. And that's what I chanted as I was shuffling. And I asked, I was like, help me cut through all the fucking bullshit. I pulled a card from the Atlantis deck. I was like, help me see what I can't see. Like, help me see. And then I pulled some cards from that spiritual as fuck deck that like calls you out. And I asked it. I was like, call me the fuck out. And these are the cards that came out. So the Atlantis card is the card of enlightenment. And it says, in golden Atlantis, the people were all enlightened beings who achieved the state of divine illumination by living serene, contemplative lives, honoring and respecting all people in the natural world. They maintained their high frequency by being in the moment, radiating love, and appreciating all they had. By holding positive attitudes and trusting the flow of life, they had a constant connection with the divine and knew that they were part of the oneness. Your guidance is to stop doing and striving. Forget about tomorrow. Just still your mind and be in the now. In this quiet time, contemplate the wonders of life and appreciate all that you do have, including the opportunity for life on earth. Your reward will be inner peace and a sense of divine connection. And it says here, enlightenment is being in oneness. So it is not being in light. It is not being in darkness. It is being in oneness, in 0 point, in that balanced stillness in the center. And so try to find that. It will become easier to grasp and attain as we reach our equinox in September. But work on cultivating that and find moments of stillness, of quiet. So the card up at the top says, you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You know how you can tell if someone is taking advantage of you? You feel like shit after giving to them. That shit isn't healthy for anyone. Put the matches down and back away. You can get warm. They can get warm on their own. Now go do something kind for yourself. That's better service for the world anyway. And then the other card, which is one I really needed to hear, says, be yourself, even if you're crazy. Stop worrying about normal ass, nothing ass people judging your cool, weird ass. And it says, there'll be none of that today. Anytime you feel yourself worrying about any of those asses, remember who you gotta wake up to every morning. You, baby, you. Your job is to make sure you're good on your own terms. Check in with what you really care about and make sure you're living up to that, not what all those asses out there might be thinking. This Leo moon is sandwiched between 2 Aquarius full moons. Those are about the collective. We're having culminations within the collective, but we're also having releases from group think, group mentality, friends groups, ideologies, movements, in order to stand in our own personal truth and sovereignty in whatever it is that we need to push forward to. This is a rebirth of the self. Fuck all those other people. And then I just want to end with this Syrian call of sovereignty that I wrote last year and the new moon mantra. So the Syrian call of sovereignty goes, I embody the truth that I am always connected to Sirius and that the connection is found within. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, next month, every day. For I am the cosmos and the cosmos are me. As above, so below. As the universe, so the soul. I do not need to join a ritual today to know this truth. Everything, including truth, is found within me. I am one with all that is. I am a walking, talking, permanent portal to the cosmic realm, and this date, 8/8, has nothing on my magic. And then the new moon mantra, I am sovereign, I am free, I can see with clarity. And that is all I have for you guys today. I adore you. I did that in 2 hours. I had a a lot more. I was going to dive all into like the stars connection in China and how it's connected to the celestial pole and all this, but it's like a whole deep rabbit hole in and of itself. But yeah, I adore you guys so much. Definitely still in this New World Order religion, but we need to be very mindful about what it is that we promote. We need to be going back to these archetypes for ourselves, understanding these mysteries for ourselves, being very careful about the books that we read, and looking at everything with a critical eye, particularly anything surrounding around this New Age movement, because as you can see, it is infiltrated, and it has been infiltrated since the beginning. I'm going to be doing a video on this, and you know, we're going to cover things like fucking Kundalini yoga and the cult of Kundalini yoga and the rapist and pedophile that is Yogi Bhajan. The UN and Alice Bailey cult in general, this idea of the Aquarian Age and how it was seeded by the CIA and the Freemasons. Timothy Leary releasing acid out into the public through the channels of the CIA and Crowley type occult orders. He was very, very, very close to Aleister Crowley. The law of attraction, the rise in like sex magic and people just acting like that's no big deal and really working with a lot of things that they literally know nothing about and are just opening themselves up to all kinds of forces. And then the concept of the masters and the hierarchy and the galactic federation and these Nordics and the plan and the new world and all of these things that are being implemented by the Masonic stream, the UN, and the New Age movement. They just call them different things. They just tweak them just a little bit. It's the same shit. It is the same shit. And really what we need to be aligning with is the Syrian energy of revolution, the Syrian energy of liberation, of change, breaking free from the system, not falling into what the system is becoming. If it's mainstream, it's bullshit. If it's mainstream, it's a psyop. If it's mainstream and it's not censored heavily, like all my stuff is so censored, it's because they want you to see it. Even things like the QAnon. I get those videos literally sent alerts to my phone from YouTube of pages I do not follow, I am not subscribed to, I have not hit a bell, because it is part of a plan, it is part of it is part of all of this. It is part of all of this. And we need to be very, very, very mindful of where we are putting our energy because we are falling into traps. Question everything. Fucking everything. I am deep in this rabbit hole of this New World Order religion. I'm going to be doing a video on it. I'm going to be releasing this video on YouTube tomorrow for everybody, and I hope that it helps. I really do hope that it helps. Use this time to connect with your serpent, to connect with your lion within, see what they need in order to be happy and to come into balance. Work on uniting these two polarizing forces. Work on leaning into your passions, your creativity, where it is you're meant to shine, and really claiming sovereignty and alignment with natural, free-flowing energy, independent of any hierarchy or portal or date or anything like that, because it's a fucking Freemason ritual. I wasn't sure about it before, but after reading that, it is a Freemason ritual, and it is probably feeding the New World Order agenda 100%. We're literally helping to feed our 11/11. Oh, we'll have to end right now. We're literally helping to build our coffin. Oh, we're building our cross that we're going to be crucified on. We're helping them to build it. So let's not do that. Let's set that bitch on fire. Without us on it. I've been burned enough times. In enough lifetimes. I'm trying not to be burned alive in this one. Alright guys, I love you. It's 11:11. We're going to call it a night, and I will see you on Discord. I got to catch up over there. But I adore